What is up, guys, and welcome back to another official YouTube channel. That's right, this is an official YouTube channel, and it's officially that time of the year again. Official cozy season. Grab yourself some hot chocolate, grab yourself your blankie, and get ready for a cozy YouTube video. Roll the intro. That's right, guys, and today is a cozy video because we're just going to be taking all the consumable food items from Minecraft and organizing them from worst to best. I know it's nothing too crazy, but this is a food channel and I can do whatever I want with it because I make the rules and I call the shots. But before we get into ranking the food items, I just want to say happy November. For some it is No Shave November, as you can clearly tell by this rat's nest on my face. Anyways, let's get into the video. Alright guys, we're starting out with the worst consumable food items first, so if you're prepared to hear a lot of gross analogies possibly, then stay right here. If you want to skip past the gross analogies and get to where it starts actually sounding like good food, then I'm going to leave a timestamp right here and you can skip right to that portion of the video. Anyways, let's get into it, starting with rotten flesh. This is the closest I can imagine that eating someone else's dead, drying scab would taste like. Now, if you're one of those freaks that eats your own scabs, I'm not judging, even though I just called you a freak that eats your own scab. Eating someone else's would be a little bit concerning. I feel like this is the first step to cannibalism you can take, is eating rotten flesh. I know in the game that these belong to zombies, but like, why would you want to eat a zombie's flesh? Zombies are dead and dying and want to eat you. Like, I think that's the last thing I want to spend my time consuming. Oh, this is so gross. Okay, up next is the spider eye. And I'm about to say one of the grossest things I've said on this channel. I imagine the texture of eating this spider eye right here would be very similar to the texture of eating a grape. I apologize. I hope that you can continue eating grapes in your future, especially considering my last video was about grapes, kind of. The only thing about this grape textured spider eye is it likely is poisonous and toxic and will kill you. Let's move on. I'm thinking an awful lot about the grape analogy. Look at that little guy. Doesn't he look so adorable? Now imagine eating him. Imagine just sinking a fork and knife into him. That doesn't sound very fun, right? That's one of the reasons why he's so low on this list. However, one of the most important reasons he's this low on the list is this is probably the worst food poisoning you'd get in your life by consuming this little fella. And I'm not even just talking about like foodborne illness. I'm talking about an incurable deathbed punishment of consuming a cute little creature like this. I imagine the poisons that this raw pufferfish would have are just not fun. Also, they expand to scare off like threats. Like, if it's still alive, that thing's gonna... Anyways, moving on to the next one. Now, I know a lot of Minecraft players are like, oh, why is the golden carrot so low? That's a wonderful food item. They're great for your character in Minecraft, and you want to know my answer to that? This is reality. You know the only thing I get from eating a golden carrot? A trip to the dentist where they're yanking out the broken teeth from consuming gold. Gold is not a consumable thing. I mean, they do have that like spray paint, food, dye, but this doesn't look like that, does it? This looks like a solid chunk of gold that's gonna shatter my teeth. If it manages to get past my teeth and into my digestive tract, I don't think my digestion is gonna be very happy with this. I am gonna leave the rest to your imagination what would happen. Now, the golden carrot and golden apple would be tied if I didn't have to, in good faith, rank these honestly. And honestly, a golden apple would be a little bit better than a golden carrot. I like apples a lot. they are more crunchy than carrots, so my teeth are not going past the apple and it's going to be very painful. But if this does still taste like an apple, then I'd be a lot more happy eating this than a golden carrot. Up next is the poisonous potato. I assume this would be similar to trying to eat a potato that has like eyes and fungus growing onto it. You know, when potatoes get those eyes and they start to smell bad, kind of like a... Yeah. I imagine that's what eating a poisonous potato would be like. I would try and scoop like the eyes out of it and get like a regular potato just that's been kind of destroyed. But like, I'd rather just go get a different potato. Last time I did a cozy video, I reviewed holiday foods, and one of those holiday foods was ham. I put it really low in my list because I don't care for ham at all. It's one of my least favorite meats. Ham! I am going to put it in never had it, and I am actually going to change this to disgusting. This, however, is a raw pork chop. This is not ham. My opinion is still the same. I do not care for pork chops either. This is raw, so like it's probably 10 times worse. Have you ever been eating at a restaurant or perhaps at home or maybe even your college food hall and you are cutting into a chicken and then you look at it and you realize, oh, that's pink, and then you get a little bit of a shudder down your spine, wondering how much of this pink chicken you have already consumed? Well, then this entry is for you, because this is raw chicken. And it's this low on the list for a reason. Foodborne illness sounds like one of the most dangerous things ever that you can get from eating food. Not as dangerous as eating the puffer fish, but it does not sound fun to deal with. And that's why we're here. We're in the raw meat section, so this is a great time. How do you guys feel about lamb? You enjoy it, right? Do you enjoy it raw? Probably not. This is raw mutton. Hi guys, this is Editing Thurn. Apparently there's a difference between mutton and lamb. Mutton is an old sheep and lamb is a young sheep. So, yeah. And I believe that this is the meat that they use for gyros. And in that case, I really enjoy gyros. But imagine eating a gyro with raw meat. Hi guys, this is Editing Thurn again. Also, apparently gyros are not specifically mutton or lamb or anything like that. It is a mix of different types of meat, lamb, beef, yada yada, sometimes pork. Now it's a little bit hard to tell, but this is suspicious stew. You can visibly see that there is something wrong with it. So if you can visibly see that there's something wrong with it, why would you want to eat it? I don't know how many of you have watched Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared all the way through, but in episode 5, there's a phrase where they start repeating, you should never eat food from a stranger's place, and then it just kind of keeps looping until it turns out that the yellow guy ate his green bird friend. Anyways, yeah, that's how I feel about this suspicious stew. And don't get me wrong, I love a good stew, but there's green and purple that you can visibly see. What would be green and purple in a... Well, actually, that's a stupid question. There's a lot of green in stew, from like celery and other stuff that's green, peas maybe. But purple, I bet you haven't seen purple in a stew. Have you ever wanted to eat Nemo? Or maybe his dad Marlin? Well, now you can in Minecraft. You can eat Nemo and his father. I wouldn't consume him. This is why he's placing so low on the list, because you would consume this fish raw, which, like, I imagine that this is probably a fish you can eat raw, similar to some of the fish used in sushi if you like cure it a certain way. But I'm not messing around with that because he's so cute. I don't want to kill him. I feel like rabbit comes in just such small portions already that the side effects of eating it raw would be less severe than eating an entire raw chicken. But still, why would you want to just eat raw meat, you know? So this would not be my go-to menu item at a Minecraft restaurant. This is placing so low because I'm not the biggest fan of cod. I think it's a little bit too fishy for my taste when it's cooked. I can't imagine how it would taste raw though. Whenever I think of raw fish, I just think of sushi, and then I think that all fish can be consumed raw, which I feel like is not the case. And I feel like cod isn't necessarily one of those fish that can be consumed raw. So yeah, raw cod is placed this low on the list for that reason. And finally, we're at a raw meat where it's not too terrible to consume raw. People like to practice eating steak, medium rare, rare. You still have a little bit of uncooked beef in the center of that, meaning that it should be relatively okay to eat. However, I don't know if I want to eat raw beef, just straight up raw beef. I'm not as fearful of eating raw beef as I would be for eating raw chicken or raw pork, which is why this is one of the highest placing raw meats. And now we are to the food items that don't taste nasty. If you skipped here from the timestamp I put up there earlier, welcome back. We're here for you. Here we have beets, and I think beets have a very interesting taste. They're very peppery. However, it's one of the last food items I'd actively scavenge for to eat. If I was stuck in a world with suspicious stew and raw meat, then yeah, beetroot is what I'm heading for. Up next, potato. Just straight up potato. Not cooked, not fried, not baked, nothing. Just a potato. And it's placing this low because I know of so many ways to prepare this potato to make it taste good. Why would I just eat cold, hard, uncooked potato when I could like bake it and make a baked potato and make it taste good? Now, I am very iffy about putting chorus fruit right here because I have a few quarrels with it. I don't trust food that I have to teleport into another universe just to find and consume. Something about that just screams, hey, maybe don't bring it back to the current universe you're in. Maybe don't consume it. However, I've read online that this is supposedly similar to dragon fruit, which actually gives it some bonus points. Also, it supposedly makes me teleport, which I think would be really cool. But I also think I'd be kind of freaked out the first time. Like, imagine you're just trying to eat some fruit because you're hungry, and then all of a sudden you're not relaxing on your couch and you're out in the middle of the street just chilling. I don't want that. I don't want to be in the middle of the street chilling. I want to be on my couch. Now, I know this looks kind of like a bowl of blood, but I promise it's not. It's just beetroot soup. And yeah, beetroot soup is placing this low on the list because I feel like eating hot, liquefied beets does not sound very good at all. Slightly better than eating a raw beet, but I feel like this would just have a weird taste and consistency to it, which is why it's this low on the list. Up next is cooked pork chop, and I know I just said earlier I'm not the biggest fan of pork chops, but any cooked meat is nice, especially considering where we are at the list and what we've already been through. We're here. If asked off the top of my head which cooked meat I like the worst, it would be ham, and then it would be pork chops, probably. And that would be off the top of my head. If I actually sat down, I'm sure I could find something that I like a lot less than cooked pork chops and cooked ham, but I don't care for pork products all that much, except for bacon. I do like bacon. And now we're at carrots that are not gold, that are regular, so that I wouldn't have to visit a dentist. and they are placing right here because they're not necessarily my favorite, but I would definitely eat them given the chance amongst the other food items that I've talked about. I would prefer to have them with some ranch, but I'm not sure if ranch exists in the Minecraft world. I can't imagine it would be too hard to make in the Minecraft world, but in a video game, why would you make ranch? Whenever I eat carrots, it's usually to go with my wings as a palate cleanser. I would prefer carrots rather than celery, but without wings and just snacking on them, it's not necessarily my go-to. That's a raw salmon, and yes, it is placed above carrots. And I'm gonna stand by that choice. Salmon is a very commonly used raw fish for sushi, and I have had sushi that had raw salmon in it, and oh my gosh, it was so good. However, there's no sushi surrounding this raw salmon, it is just the raw salmon. So I'm going based on like the taste of the sushi I had, mixed with just my thoughts of what it would be like to eat a raw salmon by itself. This would probably be the safest raw meat on the list to consume thus far. Hey, this is day 2 editing Thurn. Don't eat raw salmon if it's not sushi grade. It is actually very unsafe to eat raw salmon that isn't sushi grade. There's a whole process that goes into making salmon sushi or sashimi grade. So yeah, that's that. I've never had like sushi cured salmon all by itself. It's always been with sushi, but the taste that you get from the salmon in the sushi is good. So I imagine that this would taste about as good. Up next is the honey bottle, and I love honey. I think that my viewers might think I don't, because the past few times that I've had honey and posted it publicly on this channel, those food items have been like my lowest ranked food items that I've reviewed. You had the honey chicken sandwich from KFC that I gave like a 6 out of 10, maybe lower, and then I just recently made that Shake Your Honey Maker burger, which was one of my least favorite things I've ever ate. Okay, that's a little bit of a stretch, but it's not a good rep for someone claiming that honey is one of their favorite things. But just consuming honey by itself, I'm usually a big fan of. Like, if I'm sick, I like just a spoonful of honey. If I'm not sick, I would love just a spoonful of honey. For a while, I was making this like spiced milk where I mixed honey into milk with some like cinnamon sugar and cardamom. And it also had vanilla extract. It was really sweet. It was really good. It was nice when you were like getting cozy, getting ready for bed. I haven't made it in a while, but I'm getting sidetracked. On to the next item. I know that this looks kind of just like a garbage bag, but it is actually dried kelp, which I imagine consuming would be similar to eating like the dried seaweed chips, and I'm a big fan of those personally. Dried seaweed is never something I search for in a grocery store, but if someone's offering it, I'm like, heck yeah. Because I'm not buying $5 of the most empty food that there is. I like food that's gonna fill me up. And we're here, the villager essential, bread. I love a good old piece of bread. Oftentimes, if I am making a sandwich or a grilled cheese or anything like that, I will just take one piece of bread and snack on it while I am cooking my grilled cheese or making my sandwich. And speaking of bread, stay tuned because in the future I could possibly be making a bread recipe from the Skyrim cookbook. Just giving a little bit of a spoiler of what's to come for the channel. Moving on. Up next is cooked cod, and like I previously mentioned, I'm not the biggest fan of cooked cod. It just tastes really fishy, which kind of turns me off from it. Cooking it would be obviously a lot better than eating it raw. Now, if this was like fried whitefish, it would be placing higher, but this is not fried whitefish, this is cooked cod. So for that reason, we're here, where this is how low it's placing. And now we're in a 3-fruit run. So starting with my least favorite of these 3 fruits, it would be watermelon. I love watermelon, which is why it's this high on this list. At every family event when there is a bowl of watermelon, it is ending up on my appetizer plate. Up next is apples. Apples are my favorite. I eat one every day at work if I can. I want to know what kind of apple this is. It looks kind of like a Honeycrisp, which is my favorite, or possibly a Gala apple, which I also really enjoy. But recently I've actually been eating these apples called Cosmic Crisps. They're very good. They're very sweet, and I think you should try them. Up next is sweet berries, and don't these just look like the cutest little berries you've ever seen? They look very similar to cranberries, but since they're sweet berries, I imagine they're a little bit different. I imagine this would be similar to a blackberry or a raspberry, but even sweeter with a smoother and better texture for consuming. Look at it, it's like perfectly round. I guarantee you the texture on this is phenomenal. And now, pumpkin pie. In a previous clip, I've stated that I'm not the biggest fan of pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie, not going on my plate. But that was compared to stuff like sweet potato pie, pecan pie, on like a holiday plate, like what you would consume during the holidays. And pumpkin pie is one of my lesser favorites of those pies. I could certainly be more upset having to consume other food items, which we're in the top 15. This is better than like 30 food items that have been named so far. So before anyone gets mad at me for saying I don't like pumpkin pie, just remember that I kind of do. Up next is cooked rabbit, which I imagine is kind of like a little bit more lean of a chicken tender. I haven't had cooked rabbit in a long time. I had a rabbit stew in my early years, probably about 15 years ago it's been that I've had cooked rabbit. But it's still cooked meat, which I am a huge fan of meat, which is why it is going right here. And it's actually going at a lower placement than a lot of the cooked meat items on this list. And we're finally there. One of Minecraft's most recognizable food items, cake. I am very, very picky about my cake. I like my cake to be nice, spongy, and moist, and I can only deal with certain frostings. Some of them just come off too tacky and don't taste as good. I really enjoy a good red velvet cake, a nice vanilla sponge cake. My Mima actually makes this wonderful jello cake where the cake itself is mixed with like this jello. It's so good. However, this Minecraft cake just does not look like any of those cakes that I enjoy eating, and that might be affecting its placement on this list. So yeah, please don't judge me for that. We're going to move on. And right here we have cooked mutton, another cooked meat, not one of the best ones in the game, obviously a lot better than cooked pork chops. As for its placement, I just imagine it's nice and juicy and I would enjoy cooked mutton. So yeah, we're gonna move on. That's all I really have to add about cooked mutton. Here we are at rabbit stew. I literally was just mentioning that I had a rabbit stew a while ago. I remember liking it, even though it was 15 years ago. So I placed rabbit stew on this list about right here, because you have more to go with that cooked rabbit than you did before. Earlier I also said I love stew when I was talking about the suspicious stew, so... Well, we've returned at the golden apple. So all of you Minecraft fans that were up in arms about me putting the golden apple so low, this is the golden apple that I would actually consume, the enchanted golden apple. An enchanted golden apple I can't imagine would damage my teeth, and plus it would give me special powers of sorts. So that's why the enchanted golden apple is this high on the list. So yeah, Minecraft fans, I do not want to consume a golden apple with no enchantments, because that just doesn't sound fun. This does not look like mushroom stew, but I promise that it is. Mushroom stew is placing right here because I love mushroom soups, and my partner has started getting me even more and more into soups and mushrooms. And oh my gosh, I was missing out on the wonderful taste that mushrooms have for so long. I genuinely love the taste of mushrooms now. I used to just avoid them because they looked weird and I had a bad experience with them one time. Now that I'm eating them again, I'm realizing they're up there with some of my favorite foods. And I can only imagine what a mushroom stew is, but I imagine it's so good. I like stew, as previously mentioned, and I like mushrooms. Mushrooms. I like a room made of mesh. I like mushrooms. Up next is glowberries, and you're probably asking how a fictional food made it so high on my list. Take one look at those and tell me they don't look like the most juicy, delicious fruit that you could consume. They look like they taste like honey mixed with cherries, mixed with anything sweet. They look like they would be perfect for a sweet tooth. I imagine they taste like sweeter persimmons, which are phenomenal. One of the best fruits I've ever had. And now we're gonna start off our top 5 with baked potato. Baked potatoes are so good. You can dress them up however you want. You can do sour cream and cheese, chili and cheese, bacon, sour cream and cheese, chives. You can do whatever you want. It is truly a magnificent thing that we've done by baking potatoes. Something I learned recently, and by recently I mean about a year ago, is that Wendy's does baked potatoes. You can get baked potatoes from Wendy's, and they do one where they put their Wendy's chili on it and their Wendy's cheese on it. Not that their cheese is anything special, but their chili is, and it is so good. It is one of my favorite things to get from Wendy's. I'm getting hungry now that we're to the good food items of Minecraft. Let's move on. Up next is a cookie. And let me tell you, I would have definitely been that kid stealing from the cookie jar if my mom had a cookie jar. There's something so wonderful about a soft, baked chocolate chip cookie that just, it feels refreshing. It feels like home. And I don't really think it's too difficult to see why it placed here on this list. Here we are at cooked salmon number 3. I'm a big fan of salmon. I like a nice lemon and dill touch to my salmon. My partner recently made miso salmon. That was one of the most wonderful things that I have consumed recently. Salmon is by far one of my favorite seafoods, right next to shrimp. And I think that's very fair. I think salmon just has a nice taste to it, which is why it is placing at number 3 on this list. That's not the raw chicken from earlier, that is the cooked chicken. And that is because at number 2 we have cooked chicken. Chicken is one of my favorite meats. It is not my favorite meat because number 1 is one of my favorite meats. But it is placing here because in the Minecraft consumable food items that we've covered, chicken is the most versatile. You can do so many things with it. Fry it, grill it, cook it, bake it.
Buy it, use it, break it, fix it.
Chop it up, eat it as strips, eat the breast, eat the whole chicken. It's just so versatile. You've got dark meat chicken, you've got white meat chicken, yeah. Anyways, that's why chicken is placing number 2. Let's get to number 1, the winner that takes it all. We made it, folks. Number 1, steak. For a long time, I was really scared to eat steak. And that is only because I ever had it well done. And it was too chewy. It was not good. However, the beautiful thing about steak is you can cook it to your own wonders. Rare, medium, medium well, well done. I'm personally a medium rare, medium kind of guy. Anyways, I used to be scared to eat steak, and then my stepdad made me a medium steak, and it was so good. He used the perfect amount of seasoning. It had that nice salty touch that beef usually does. And since that day, I am a changed man. Steak is probably one of my favorite ways to consume any sort of meat on this planet. A nice beef steak. Anyways, I'm gonna go eat food now because I am very hungry. Well guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It was nice and cozy. I hope it got you to relax a little bit, and I hope you're not as hungry as I am right now. And if you are, then I think you should go make yourself some food, because that is what I am about to do. If you appreciate the music you've been hearing in the background, I also make music under the name of Pirimid. You can search that up on any streaming service or music platform. I should be there. Anyways, if you want to, please subscribe. I have quite a few videos that you can go back and watch, and I have more videos to come in the future. But anyways, yeah, that's gonna be all, and I'm gonna be a lot more quiet here since this is a cozy video. Bye!